Have you ever thought about it like this? What if a country had a diet? Not a diet of food, but a fuel. You know, just like a person's diet can tell you a lot about their health and lifestyle, a nation's energy consumption tells this absolutely fascinating story about its own health, its wealth, and where it's headed in the future.
So that brings us to the big question, right? What does a country's energy use really tell us? Because it is so much more than just a number on a chart. Think of it as a vital sign for the whole country, a quick snapshot of its economic engine, its role on the world stage, and of course, its impact on the planet.
All right, first up, let's just talk about the sheer quantity. To stick with our metaphor, think of this part as the calories. How much energy is a country consuming? Period. And this one simple metric, well, it reveals a pretty stark and massive divide across the globe.
The key number we look at here is something called per capita energy consumption. It's pretty straightforward. You take all the energy a country uses and divide it by the number of people living there. And what you get is the average energy diet for one person. The results, honestly, are staggering.
And this comparison really shows you why that gap exists. I mean, in high-income countries, energy is everywhere. It powers our cars, our massive industries, all of our personal gadgets. But in low-income nations, you've got limited infrastructure and less industrialization, which just creates a fundamentally lower energy footprint for each person.
This scale of this gap it's hard to even wrap your head around. It's not just a small difference, it's an absolute chasm. When you compare a country like the United States with one like Niger, you're seeing this vast inequality in basically everything, from simple access to energy all the way to daily lifestyle. But, okay, it's not just about how many calories a country is taking in. The next really crucial question is, how much productive work are they getting out of that energy? And this brings us to what I like to call the hidden metric of efficiency.
So the way we measure this is by looking at energy consumption per unit of GDP. What does that mean? Well, essentially, it answers the question, how much energy does it take to create $1 of economic value? And for this one, a lower number is actually better. It means you're getting way more economic bang for your energy buck. Let's look at a real-world example. Take Germany. Its high-tech, service-based economy is incredibly efficient. It squeezes a ton of economic output from every little unit of energy. Now compare that to China, with its history of super-fast, coal-fueled industrial growth. Historically, it's been less efficient, needing a lot more energy to generate that same level of economic activity.
Okay, so we've covered quantity and we've covered efficiency. Now for what might be the most complex and interesting layer of our whole energy diet, the ingredients. What is a country actually consuming to power itself? This, my friends, is its energy mix.
And this mix is just like a recipe, right? Each ingredient, whether it's coal, oil, solar, wind, or nuclear, has this massive impact on everything, from a nation's security all the way to its effect on the environment. The specific combination a country chooses to use is absolutely critical. Now, one of the first big distinctions in that recipe is whether a country makes its own energy or has to buy it from someone else. A country like Saudi Arabia, for example, is literally sitting on a sea of oil. That gives it incredible energy security. But then you have a country like Japan, which has very few natural resources. That makes it heavily dependent on imports and really vulnerable to global price shocks and politics. But wait, there's a crucial step in this whole process. We almost never use energy in its raw form. It has to be converted first. And this brings us to a really important distinction between what we call primary and secondary energy.
Think about it like this. Primary energy is the raw fuel itself, like coal that's just been dug out of the ground. That coal is then converted into secondary energy, like the electricity that's actually powering your screen right now. Understanding this whole supply chain is really key to seeing the full picture.
And when you boil it all down, those primary ingredients, they pretty much fall into two big buckets. You've got your non-renewables, like the finite fossil fuels that are driving climate change, and then you have renewables, like solar and wind, which replenish themselves and are absolutely key to a sustainable future.
Some countries have truly unique energy diets. I mean, take Iceland. Thanks to its incredible geography, it runs almost entirely on renewable geothermal and hydropower. It's just such a powerful example of what a high renewable energy mix can look like. And maybe, just maybe, a glimpse into a possible future for the rest of us.
Okay, so let's bring it all together. We've got the quantity a country consumes, the efficiency of how it uses it, and the mix of ingredients it's using. So how do all these factors combine to shape a country's security and, really, its entire future?
The core principle here is resilience. It's just like investing. Diversification is everything. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. Relying on a single energy source, especially when you have to import, creates massive risk. A diverse mix gives you a crucial buffer against all those global shocks.
You see, these three layers, consumption, efficiency, and mix, they're so much more than just academic ideas. They're the fundamental pillars that support a nation's economic stability, define its geopolitical strength, and ultimately determine its role in the global climate crisis.
So, what should you remember from all this? Well, per capita consumption, that shows us the vast inequality in our world. Energy efficiency reveals who's getting the most from what they use, and the energy mix itself, that determines a nation's security and its environmental fate. In the end, a balanced, diverse energy diet is truly the foundation for a more stable global future.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Every single country, including your own, has a unique energy diet. Knowing what's in it, where it comes from, and how it's used is one of the most important things we can possibly understand about the world we live in today. So, what's in yours?